So we are in a new sermon series called Jesus and the Way, a series in the Gospel of Mark. This is a series that for the next 4 months, a little over the first quarter of the year, we're going to be examining the theme of discipleship, studying who Jesus is, and in some ways help us more fully understand what it means to follow Jesus. So, kind of briefly talked about the purpose of this series already, but I want to break down this series. We're going to be in this for 4 months. So I want to break down this series, help us understand where it is we are going with it. So just starting with the book of Mark, one of the phrases, or maybe one of the ways that the book of Mark has been described is as the shotgun gospel. Has anyone heard of it called the shotgun gospel before? To be fair, I was taught that when I was in Missouri, so maybe it was a little bit more geographic than what I had thought. But it is called the shotgun gospel because it is not only the shortest of the four, but it has a way of getting right to the point and being very impactful in what it is it's trying to say. Much like a shotgun, you bring that thing out, you're not trying to mix words. You have a point you're trying to make in that moment. The Gospel of Mark has a common word that continues to be brought up. It's the word immediately. The word immediately is constantly brought up in this gospel. And it's like it's communicating how Jesus is always on task to accomplish his mission. He's always moving towards his goal. But as it highlights Jesus on the move, it also has a way of highlighting us on the move with him. It has a way of showing us what it is to be his disciples. It's as if Mark wants us to know this is who Jesus is, this is what it means to follow him, and this is what we need to do. Furthermore, the Gospel of Mark was originally written to a Roman audience. So this Roman audience wasn't very concerned with all the rituals and the history of Judaism. So we're not going to find a lot of that as we would in Gospels like Matthew's. But the Romans had their own slew of religious history. They had their own slew of gods. So Mark is wanting to highlight this is why Jesus is different. This is why you need to follow him as opposed to the other gods you followed. This is why you need to follow him as opposed to another way of life. And this is how you do it. This is the essence of the Gospel of Mark. It's short, sweet, and to the point, earning it the name the Shotgun Gospel. But the title of the whole series that we're going to be in is called Jesus and the Way. Jesus and the Way. And even the title is meant to capture the essence of Mark and be very intentional as well. The way is another phrase that comes from Scripture. Does anyone recognize the phrase the way? Some of you do. The way, it actually comes from the book of Acts. It takes place right after the birth and resurrection of Jesus. See, what happened is it took some time for the name Christian to get around. Actually, the name Christian was meant to mean little Christ, which was supposed to kind of mock the Christians of the day. But before the word Christian became popularized, people who followed Jesus were just called followers of the way. It was meant to illustrate, we got some Jewish roots, some Jewish history, but really we're trying to follow Jesus as opposed to just our understanding of the Old Testament law. Some people say that the way could have come from what Jesus said in John 14:6, that I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. But more likely it was meant to convey if we truly are to connect with God. And if we truly are to follow him and where he is leading, I'm just going to go the way he's telling me to go. That if Jesus says goes this way, that's the way I'm going to go. I'm not going to try to figure it out on my own. I'm following Jesus, and this is exactly what the book of Mark is about. So for the next 4 months, we are going to be all in 10 toes down on being reminded of who Jesus is, understanding what it is to follow him and what it is to be his disciple. And the beauty of discipleship is that whether you have been following Jesus for 50 days or 50 years, we all receive the same call of Jesus calling us deeper. He's calling each of us deeper. Deeper into what it is to walk with him. Deeper of what it is to be in relationship with him. Deeper in what it is to connect with him. He's calling us deeper. And this series is meant to equip us to walk deeper, to go deeper into life with Jesus as we recognize who he is and what it means to follow him.